Hello friends, thank you for joining me today. Whether you're watching this because you're curious about your own aging journey or you're concerned about a loved one, I'm glad you're here, because today we're going to have an honest conversation about aging, the kind that most doctors don't have time for and that family members often avoid. I've spent decades working with older adults, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that knowledge is power. Understanding what happens to our bodies and minds as we age isn't about accepting defeat. It's about gaining the tools to fight back and maintain control of our lives. So today, I'm going to share 12 uncomfortable truths about aging that nobody talks about openly. But more importantly, I'll tell you what you can do about each one. Because here's the secret that keeps me optimistic. Many aspects of aging that we assume are inevitable can actually be modified, improved, or even prevented with the right approach. Before we dive in, I want you to remember this. It's never too late to make positive changes. I've seen 85-year-olds transform their health in ways that amaze their doctors. Your body and brain have an incredible capacity to heal and adapt at any age. Let's get started with these 12 truths, and by the end of our time together, I hope you'll feel empowered rather than discouraged. Truth 1. Your body's ability to process medication changes dramatically. One of the first things that happens as we age is that our bodies begin processing medications very differently than when we were younger. Your liver and kidneys, the organs responsible for metabolizing and clearing medications from your system, become less efficient. This means that a dose that was perfect for you at 60 might be too strong at 75. Many older adults end up experiencing side effects or even dangerous drug interactions because of this change. Consider my friend Martha, who had been taking the same sleep medication for years without problems. Suddenly, at 78, she started experiencing dizziness, confusion, and even a fall that her doctor eventually traced back to that very same medication. Her body simply wasn't processing it the same way anymore. Compare this to Bernard, who asks his doctor to review his entire medication list every 6 months. When he started experiencing similar symptoms, his doctor immediately recognized the problem and adjusted his dosage, preventing any serious incidents. What you can do about it? Schedule a medication review with your doctor or pharmacist at least twice a year. Ask specifically, has my ability to process this medication changed with age? Don't assume that because you've taken something for years, it's still right for you now. And never, I repeat, never, stop a medication without consulting your doctor first, even if you think it's causing problems. Together, you can find the right solution. Truth 2. Your sense of thirst diminishes, but your need for water increases. Here's something paradoxical. As we age, our bodies require optimal hydration more than ever for cognitive function, joint health, and organ function. Yet our thirst sensation decreases dramatically. This means you can become dangerously dehydrated without ever feeling particularly thirsty. Dehydration in seniors is a leading cause of hospital admissions, and it often masquerades as confusion, fatigue, or even symptoms that mimic dementia. Take Margaret, who was becoming increasingly confused in the afternoons. Her family was terrified it was Alzheimer's until a geriatric specialist recognized classic dehydration signs. After implementing a scheduled drinking routine, her dementia symptoms disappeared completely. Compare this to Henry, who carries a marked water bottle everywhere and follows a system where he drinks according to a schedule rather than thirst. His cognition remains sharp, and his doctor is consistently pleased with his kidney function tests, despite his advanced age. What you can do about it? Don't wait until you feel thirsty. Set up a hydration schedule. 8 ounces of water when you wake up with each meal and between meals. Keep water visible. A clear bottle you can see throughout the day. Check your urine color. It should be light yellow, not dark or amber. And remember that many foods like fruits, vegetables, and soups contribute to your hydration as well. Truth 3. Social isolation sneaks up on you more easily than you think. Many seniors don't realize how quickly their social circles can shrink until they've become severely isolated. Friends move away to be closer to children, spouses and friends pass away, and mobility issues make it harder to maintain connections. Research shows that social isolation is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It accelerates cognitive decline, increases depression risk, and even weakens your immune system. I think of Eleanor, who gradually stopped attending her community events after her husband died. Within 2 years, she rarely left her house and spoke to almost no one except cashiers at the grocery store. Her health declined rapidly until her doctor recognized social isolation as the root cause. Contrast this with Robert, who joined 3 new groups after his wife passed: a book club, a volunteer organization, and a walking group. Despite his initial grief, these new connections provided structure, purpose, and eventually joy that supported both his emotional and physical health. What you can do about it: be proactive about building new connections before you need them. Consider technology, video calls with family, online communities for your interests. Look into senior centers, religious organizations, or volunteer opportunities. Even brief interactions like regularly chatting with the same barista or librarian provide meaningful social connection. The goal isn't necessarily to have dozens of friends, but rather consistent human connection that you can count on. Truth 4. Your body's temperature regulation systems weaken. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at regulating internal temperature. This makes seniors far more vulnerable to both heat illness and hypothermia, often without realizing they're in danger until it's severe. Many older adults don't sweat as effectively, which is the body's primary cooling mechanism. Additionally, the body's ability to constrict and dilate blood vessels in response to temperature changes diminishes. Consider James, who always prided himself on toughing out hot weather without air conditioning. At 81, during a moderate heat wave, he became severely ill with heat stroke, despite temperatures that wouldn't have affected him just a decade earlier. Contrast this with Doris, who recognized her changing sensitivity and created seasonal plans for temperature management. She uses air conditioning without guilt during summer and maintains her home at a consistent temperature year-round, preventing the temperature falls in blood pressure that had caused several of her friends to fall. What you can do about it: don't rely on how you feel. Use objective measures like thermometers and weather advisories. During hot weather, use air conditioning, or visit air-conditioned public spaces like libraries and malls. During cold months, dress in layers even indoors, as indoor hypothermia is surprisingly common. Be especially cautious during temperature transitions between seasons when your body is adjusting. And remember that certain medications can make temperature regulation even more difficult. Ask your doctor if any of yours fall into this category. Proof 5. Your digestive system slows down dramatically. As we age, our digestive system undergoes significant changes that few people discuss openly. Your digestive tract becomes less elastic, stomach acid production decreases, and intestinal contractions weaken. The result? A perfect storm for constipation, indigestion, and nutritional absorption problems. These changes happen gradually, leading many seniors to accept increasing digestive discomfort as just part of getting older, rather than addressing it proactively. Take William, who began experiencing constant bloating and discomfort after meals. He simply ate less and less to avoid the symptoms, unintentionally causing malnutrition that accelerated his muscle loss and weakness. Compare this to Louise, who works with her doctor on a comprehensive digestive health plan. She takes a careful approach to fiber intake, hydration, specific probiotics recommended by her doctor, and timed physical activity that keeps her digestive system functioning effectively, even in her late 80s. Colin says, "I am constantly eating an Oriental diet with every meal. It is efficient and gentle, and an optimist." What you can do about it: first, don't ignore changes in your digestive patterns. They're not just inconveniences but important health signals. Increase fiber gradually to avoid bloating. Stay physically active as movement stimulates the digestive tract. Consider eating smaller, more frequent meals rather than 3 large ones. Talk to your doctor about potential enzyme supplements if you experience persistent indigestion. And be strategic about your fiber sources. Some work better for seniors than others. Truth 6. Your body's stress response becomes more harmful. While we might think we handle stress better with age and wisdom, the physical reality is quite different. Our bodies become less resilient to stress hormones as we age, and these hormones linger in our systems longer than when we were younger. This means that stressful events, from arguments with family members to watching upsetting news, can have more profound and longer-lasting physical effects than the same stressors did when you were younger. Consider Richard, who prided himself on keeping up with the world by watching cable news many hours daily. His doctor eventually connected his worsening hypertension and sleep problems directly to his constant exposure to stressful content that his aging body couldn't process effectively. Contrast this with Patricia, who intentionally limits her news consumption to once a day, practices daily stress reduction techniques, and prioritizes positive social interactions. Her inflammatory markers and blood pressure remain remarkably stable despite being in her mid-80s. What you can do about it. Recognize that managing stress becomes more important, not less, as you age. Consider a stress audit. What in your daily life consistently raises your stress levels? Can those things be modified? Practice evidence-based stress reduction techniques like progressive muscle relaxation, guided imagery, or meditation. Even 5-10 minutes daily makes a measurable difference. Be intentional about joy and positive experiences which create biochemical benefits that offset stress hormones. And don't hesitate to set boundaries around stressful people or situations. It's not selfish, it's essential health maintenance. Truth 7. Your sleep architecture changes fundamentally. Many seniors believe they need less sleep as they age, but this is a dangerous myth. You still need 7-8 hours, but your ability to achieve quality sleep deteriorates due to changes in sleep architecture, the natural pattern and stages of sleep. As we age, we spend less time in deep, restorative sleep stages and experience more fragmented sleep with multiple awakenings. Many seniors experience advanced sleep phase syndrome, where they become sleepy very early in the evening and wake extremely early, often before dawn. Think about George, who assumed his 3:00 a.m. wakings were insomnia and began using alcohol to knock himself out. This created a destructive cycle that worsened his sleep quality and overall health. Compare this to Vivian, who worked with a sleep specialist to understand her changing sleep patterns. She adjusted her schedule to accommodate her body's new rhythms, using early evening sleepiness for an early bedtime and embracing productive early morning hours when she naturally wakes, resulting in better overall health and energy. What you can do about it. Work with your natural patterns rather than fighting them. If you find yourself naturally sleepy at 8:00 p.m., consider going to bed then rather than pushing to stay up until your normal bedtime. Create a consistent sleep routine that signals your body it's time for rest. Limit screen time before bed, as aging eyes are even more sensitive to the sleep-disrupting effects of blue light. If you wake during the night, keep lights dim and engage in quiet, non-stimulating activities until sleepiness returns. And speak to your doctor about having a sleep study if you experience excessive daytime fatigue despite adequate time in bed. Sleep disorders like sleep apnea become more common with age but are highly treatable. Truth 8. Your brain needs new learning more than ever, but resists it more strongly. As we age, our brains become more resistant to forming new neural pathways, what scientists call decreased neuroplasticity. Yet paradoxically, challenging your brain with new learning becomes even more crucial for maintaining cognitive health. This creates a frustrating situation where the mental activities that would benefit you most, learning new skills, forming new habits, feel increasingly difficult and uncomfortable. Consider Edward, who avoided anything new because it made him feel slow and incompetent compared to his younger self. His cognitive abilities declined steadily as he restricted himself to only familiar activities and routines. Contrast this with Sylvia, who committed to learning one new skill annually despite the frustration and discomfort of the learning process, At 86, she tackled digital photography, experiencing initial confusion but ultimately strengthening cognitive pathways that supported her overall mental sharpness. What you can do about it. First, recognize that the discomfort of learning something new is actually a sign the activity is beneficial for your brain. Expect and accept that new learning will take longer than it did when you were younger, but understand the cognitive benefits are worth the extra time and effort. Start with sequential learning steps rather than trying to master complex skills all at once. Combine physical movement with cognitive challenges when possible, as this enhances neural growth. And most importantly, choose learning activities you find meaningful and enjoyable, as emotional engagement significantly enhances learning at any age. Truth 9. Your microbiome becomes less diverse, affecting everything from immunity to mood. Few seniors realize that the community of beneficial bacteria in their gut, their microbiome, undergoes significant changes with age, becoming less diverse and less robust. This has far-reaching implications beyond digestive health, affecting immune function, inflammation levels, and even cognitive health and mood regulation. Many medications commonly prescribed to seniors, particularly antibiotics and acid reducers, can further disrupt this delicate ecosystem at a time when it's already vulnerable. Think about Charlotte, who experienced recurring infections and persistent low mood. Multiple doctors prescribed antibiotics and antidepressants without addressing the root cause, her severely compromised gut microbiome. Compare this to David, whose doctor included microbiome health in his preventive care plan. Through strategic dietary changes, limited antibiotic use, and appropriate probiotic supplementation, he maintained a diverse microbiome that supported his remarkably strong immune function and emotional well-being. What you can do about it? Focus on dietary diversity. Aim to eat 30 different plant foods weekly, as each feeds different beneficial bacteria. Consider fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi, which provide live beneficial bacteria. Limit unnecessary antibiotic use. Always take them when truly needed, but ask your doctor if alternatives exist for minor infections. Discuss probiotic supplementation with your healthcare provider, as certain strains have been researched specifically for seniors. And remember that regular physical activity also promotes microbiome diversity through mechanisms researchers are still uncovering. Truth 10. Your body's inflammatory response gets stuck in the on position. Inflammation is your body's natural response to injury and illness. In younger people, it activates when needed and then subsides. As we age, this system often becomes dysregulated, leading to chronic low-grade inflammation that never fully resolves. What scientists call inflaging. This persistent inflammation accelerates nearly every aspect of aging, from cognitive decline to joint deterioration to cardiovascular disease. Consider Harold, who accepted his increasing joint pain, fatigue, and memory concerns as inevitable parts of aging, rather than recognizing them as symptoms of systemic inflammation that could be addressed. Contrast this with Gloria, who works proactively with her healthcare team to monitor inflammatory markers and implement anti-inflammatory lifestyle strategies. At 82, she maintains mobility, energy, and cognitive clarity that many people decade younger envy. What you can do about it. Understand that many normal aging symptoms may actually be signs of chronic inflammation. Focus on anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish, colorful fruits and vegetables, olive oil, and nuts. Limit refined carbohydrates, processed foods, and excessive red meat. Maintain consistent physical activity, as appropriate exercise is anti-inflammatory while being sedentary promotes inflammation. Prioritize sleep quality and stress management, as both poor sleep and chronic stress drive inflammation. And talk to your doctor about whether you might benefit from testing inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein to monitor your progress. Truth 11. Your sensory losses affect more than your experience of the world. Most seniors expect some degree of hearing and vision changes, but few understand how profoundly these sensory losses impact overall health, safety, and cognitive function. Untreated hearing loss, for example, is now recognized as the single largest modifiable risk factor for dementia, while vision impairment significantly increases fall risk and can lead to social withdrawal and depression. Think about Thomas, who avoided getting hearing aids because he was too proud and didn't want to look old. Within 3 years, he stopped attending his beloved community choir and began withdrawing from conversations, accelerating both his cognitive decline and social isolation. Compare this to Catherine, who addressed her hearing loss promptly with appropriate devices and made adjustments for her changing vision. She remains engaged in complex conversations and activities, supporting her cognitive health while preventing the isolation that sensory loss often creates. What you can do about it. Reject the notion that sensory losses are simply to be endured as part of aging. Schedule annual vision and hearing evaluations even if you haven't noticed significant changes. If hearing loss is identified, address it promptly. Today's hearing devices are vastly improved, and many are nearly invisible. For vision, proper lighting becomes increasingly important. Increase lamp wattage and add task lighting throughout your home. Learn about adaptive technologies that can compensate for sensory changes. And perhaps most importantly, be open with others about your sensory needs. Asking people to speak more clearly isn't showing weakness, it's taking charge of your health. Truth 12. Your risk of malnutrition increases despite having plenty to eat. One of the most overlooked aspects of aging is that your nutritional needs change substantially while your body's ability to absorb and utilize nutrients decreases. Simultaneously, many seniors experience appetite loss, changes in taste perception, and practical barriers to obtaining and preparing nutritious foods. This creates a perfect storm where malnutrition becomes common, even among seniors who appear to be eating enough food. Because the issue is nutrient quality, not just caloric quantity. Consider Albert, who lived alone and gradually shifted to a diet of mainly simple, convenient foods like toast, cereal, and packaged snacks. Despite never feeling hungry, he developed significant muscle loss, wound healing problems, and cognitive changes due to subclinical malnutrition that went unrecognized for years. Contrast this with Marianne, who makes strategic food choices focusing on nutrient density rather than just taste preferences or convenience. She prioritizes protein at every meal and ensures colorful vegetables make up half her plate, supporting her remarkable physical resilience and cognitive clarity. What you can do about it. Focus on nutrient density. Foods that provide maximum nutrition per calorie. Prioritize protein intake, aiming for 20-30 grams per meal, as protein needs actually increase with age while appetite often decreases. Consider liquid nutrition supplements if appetite is poor or meal preparation is challenging, but choose carefully with your doctor's guidance. Address barriers to good nutrition. Everything from dental problems to transportation issues can impact your ability to maintain proper nutrition. And ask your doctor about targeted nutritional testing beyond standard blood work. As certain deficiencies become more common with age, even with a seemingly adequate diet. Conclusion. Empowerment through knowledge. As we reach the end of our conversation today, I want to acknowledge that some of these truths about aging might seem challenging or even discouraging at first glance. But that's not why I've shared them with you. I believe deeply that understanding these changes is the first step toward addressing them effectively. Knowledge isn't meant to frighten you. It's meant to empower you. The most important truth about aging is this. While we can't stop the aging process, we have remarkable control over how we experience it. The choices you make today about how you eat, move, think, connect with others, and work with your healthcare team can dramatically impact your quality of life in the months and years ahead. I've seen countless individuals transform their aging experience through applying these insights. People who went from believing decline was inevitable to discovering that many aspects of aging are highly modifiable. Remember this, your chronological age, the number of years you've been alive, matters far less than your biological age, which reflects how well your body and mind are functioning. And the wonderful news is that biological age can be influenced significantly by your daily choices. Your call to action. Now, I'd like to ask you to take 3 specific actions after watching this video. First, choose just one of these 12 truths that resonated most strongly with you, and commit to making one small change in that area this week. Small, consistent steps create powerful results over time. Second, share this information with someone you care about. Knowledge gains power when it's shared, and someone in your life might be struggling with one of these issues without understanding the cause or solution. And finally, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these truths surprised you most? What strategies have you found helpful in your own aging journey? Your insights might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. If you found this information valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos on healthy aging. And if you know someone who could benefit from this information, please share this video with them. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, aging isn't optional, but how you experience it is largely up to you. I believe in your capacity to create a healthier, more vibrant future, regardless of your current age or circumstances. Until next time, take good care of yourself. You're worth it.